Well, you all knew this was coming. My last Twilight review is my longest review, so, let's just get into it.
There were some movies, terrible movies, movies so awful, no one would touch. Then came a Matthew, sad little Matthew. Matthew decided these movies to watch. For every good movie, there's at least 10 bad. Matthew gonna drag himself through the crap to find the worst ones there are to be had.
Today's episode, The Twilight Saga, New Moon. Hello, Twihards. I'm called Matt, and I love the Twilight series. It's bad, it's very, very funny, and for a brief moment in pop culture history, it was the biggest thing out there. I reviewed the first movie a year ago for its 10th anniversary, so let's take a look at its sequel. While the second Twilight book was simply called New Moon, the movie got the much clunkier title, The Twilight Saga New Moon. 2 or something to show this was the second movie might have been nice, since I almost reviewed Eclipse by mistake. I can never remember which is which. Still, it waited till it was an actual franchise to take up that name, unlike Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. I've never even heard of that book. Though I guess Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, did that too and failed to take off. And that was based on a popular book. And a better book than most successful franchises, if I'm being honest. Anyways, New Moon saw a new director, probably unsurprisingly after how poorly made the first film was. The new director was Chris Weiss, fresh off the success of The Golden Compass, another young adult fantasy novel adaptation no one asked for. Weitz doesn't actually direct that much, instead spending time as a producer largely for his brother Paul Weitz, director of American Pie. I don't know why Weitz replaced Christina Hardwick. Maybe it was the quality of the film, but it made money, so studios tend to not care about stuff like quality when it makes money. Hell, they greenlit the sequel one day after Twilight was released. Maybe Hardwick wasn't interested, or was busy with other projects, or maybe she didn't want to jump into anything that quickly. This did come out just 1 year after the original Twilight. Still, aside from Hardwick, most of the cast and crew returned, including all the actors and screenwriter Melissa Rosenberg. I should probably also clarify something just for consistency's sake. My Twilight review claimed the film ended like this.
Eddie, stop.
But he doesn't stop in time and kills her. The end. That's not true, and most of you seem to realize that. None of you called me out for it, so thank you for being smart enough to know Bella doesn't die in the first movie. It does seem like this would have been the point where Bella became a vampire if this story was self-contained, but I guess Stephenie Meyer wanted to keep the door open for a sequel. And I guess it worked. Here's New Moon. And the first thing on the Ultimate Fan Blu-ray, which of course I bought because I am the ultimate fan, is Robert Pattinson quoting Gandhi.
Gandhi said that whatever you do in life will be insignificant. But it's very important that you do it.
Thanks, advertisement for a movie I will never watch. And of course they begin New Moon with a lunar eclipse. Getting a little ahead of yourself there, aren't you? And we hear Bella quoting Romeo and Juliet.
These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die, like fire and powder, which as they kiss, consume.
Which is a whole big thematic thing in the movie. It's kind of forced. We'll get to it. Bella has a dream that she's old, but Edward is still young, and wouldn't you know, she wakes up on her birthday. Clever. Her parents have gotten her a camera and a photo album so she can document her senior year of high school. Is this the beginning of the year? Bella's birthday wasn't the beginning of the last school year. Then again, the time frame of the Twilight movies only gets more confusing from here, so I'll let this one slide. She meets up with her friends, Anna Kendrick, Susie Crabgrass, Mike, and Eric. You might recall Mike and Eric being kinda into Bella last movie, but it seems they've paired off specifically with the girls of their same race, We will have no mixed-race couples in this wholesome story about a mixed-species couple. Man, there's gotta be a ton of Mike x Eric fanfic ships. I could just look them up right now. It'd be better than watching the movie. Nope. Finish the movie.
I think 18 is a little young to start worrying about that.
It's 1 year older than you.
No, it isn't. I'm 109.
Well, maybe I shouldn't be dating such an old man.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's not a problem if we acknowledge it. And hey, Jacob shows up too. And it's really funny that Edward is just standing awkwardly in the background the whole time. And in English, they're watching Romeo and Juliet. It's a thing, guys. Trust us. There's a good payoff. Edward reveals that when he was killing Bella, he contemplated suicide if anything went wrong.
Go to Italy and provoke the Volturi.
The what?
The what? Oh boy, Twilight has lore. Isn't that why you got invested in this straightforward story about a girl in love with a vampire? For the in-depth lore? The Volturi uphold vampire law, which is basically just don't reveal yourself to the humans. And they live in Italy because they're the Vatican. They kill vampires who break their laws, which is the most effective way to kill yourself if you're a vampire. Which seems like a problem. Like any suicidal vampire could just endanger all of vampire kind simply because that's the easiest way to kill themselves. Surely the Volturi should have like a voluntary kill yourself system, or at the very least just like allow people to threaten, like, ooh, I'll expose the vampires if you don't kill me. This just seems like a setup for disaster. It also seems like a setup for that Romeo and Juliet thing. Bella begs Edward to turn her into a vampire so she can protect him from that redhead vampire from last movie. But last movie they were tracking Bella, not Edward. And the only one tracking them was that James guy. Dreadlocks showed up and apologized, and the redhead just disappeared. That said, turning Bella into a vampire is a very good idea for her safety if you want this relationship to last long term.
But it's my job to protect you. From everyone except my sister.
God, this flies so close to being good in the dialogue department for the story and acting to ruin it. That said, last movie I mentioned a disconnect between writing and presentation. Lines that were clearly supposed to be fun and cheeky were played serious, and that's mostly gone. Maybe it's because this movie is just supposed to be darker and moodier, so the presentation actually matches, but there are moments of genuine levity that are absent from Twilight. They've got unintentional levity covered too, as Bella gets a paper cut that is bloody enough to drop onto the floor and trigger the youngest Cullen. The paper cut bit? That's like something you would put in a Twilight parody. Why were there ever any spoofs of Twilight? This movie is its own spoof. So to keep him from hurting Bella, Edward fucking launches her across the room. Edward, baby, you gotta be more careful. No, seriously, she cuts herself on some glass. And nothing comes of this. There's no Edward has to learn to control his strength arc. He flings Bella across the room, injures her, and that's okay. Daddy Cullen seems to insinuate that vampires are damned to hell or something, and that's why Edward doesn't want to turn Bella. So, hell for sure exists in the Twilight universe? How do they know they're damned? Have they seen hell or the afterlife? It seems like you're making assumptions with nothing to back that up. And I think Bella's on my side on this one, though her argument could use work.
How you feel about your soul? I don't believe that. So don't worry about mine.
It's kind of like telling a Christian, well, I don't believe in hell, so no need to worry about me. You didn't, say anything to change their mind. You just said what you believe. Also, I know I'm on Bella's side with the whole turning her thing, but she is awfully pushy about it.
Kiss me.
Alright, Pattinson. The woman you love just said she loved you. How do you respond? By looking disgusted. Perfect. Cut. Put it in the movie. Aw, they say I love you. Clearly this is a happy moment in their relationship. Anyway, sad breakup montage. Excuse me, did they break up? But when? See, 'cause there's a divide between them. You know, show, don't tell doesn't mean show us symbolism for something you never told us about. I mean, the Cullenses have to leave town, and Edward just dumps the "you'll never see me again, forget about me" on her. Like I kinda get the "ooh, I'm dangerous, I can't be around you, I might bite you" thing, but there's an easy fix for that. Just turn Bella into a vampire. If you don't trust yourself, get Daddy Cullens to do it. This has gone on too long for the "ooh, you're not safe around me." Because what if one of the mini vampires you've pissed off comes after Bella, and she's just on her own because the Cullens aren't there to protect her? Sorry, Bella, we introduced you to the vampire world, but you're on your own now. And it really doesn't help this scene that Kristen Stewart's version of sadness is acting like it's too cold outside. She tries to chase Edward down, but gets lost in the woods, where she's saved by the heroic werewolf. That guy. I really thought it was gonna be Jacob. Like, that would just be thematically appropriate, but it's Sam. And now that the breakup has actually happened, we get a much better montage of Bella just staring out her window for months.
There's a possibility. There's a possibility.
And it's really well shot. Can't have that shit. Put in a shot of her screaming obnoxiously for no reason. Finally, she goes out with Anna Kendrick to watch a zombie movie.
I want to sit through all those zombies eating people and no hot guys kissing anybody.
It's funny that the shallow girl only watches movies for hot guys. That's not at all hypocritical coming from Twilight. Use the Force, Bella. Bella tries to talk to the guys who jumped her last movie, I guess in the hopes that Edward will come save her.
What do you say?
What exactly is this guy proposing? I thought she was trying to bang, but he just drives her around. God forbid.
I saw him. Maybe I'm crazy now. I guess that's okay.
It's not. You should probably seek help. But instead she becomes an adrenaline junkie, so she can see Edward's ghost. I'm unclear if this is actually something Edward is doing consciously, or if Bella is just seeing things. So she asks Jacob to help her soup up some old dirt bikes. Everyone talks shit about Edward being 100 years older than Bella, but can't forget this.
You're, like, buff. How did that happen? You're like 16. I don't get it.
Bella, you turned 18 6 months ago, according to the sad montage. You are an adult. That boy is underaged.
Age is just a number, baby.
Don't encourage her, kid. You're the victim here.
I'm older than you, so that makes me the influencer and you the influencee.
No. My size and knowledge base actually makes me older than you because of your general paleness and lack of know-how.
I mean, yeah, Bella's as dense as a box of rocks. This is the most competent she is all series, which sets the bar really low for the other movies. Also, she is horrendously codependent.
He makes me feel better. I mean, he makes me feel alive.
Like, I have heard people argue that Edward and Jacob are bad and even abusive boyfriends, but considering how emotionally vulnerable Bella consistently is, she's lucky they don't take advantage of her near as much as they probably could have. Because that story exists. It's called 50 Shades of Grey. and I have no interest in covering it. Sam runs a gang of werewolf boys who go cliff diving, which Jacob isn't too happy about. And then, some of the worst effects in this series. I really can't process this. It looks like they CG'd his face on a guy, but later in the shot, he's clearly composited in. So why bother? Just green screen the actual actor. And the splash also looks fake. Anyway, Bella gets those bikes working, which makes Edward's Force Ghost upset. And rightfully so, because she manages to wipe out directly into a rock. This looks like a job for Jacob's signature move. You know, it was a big joke, like, ooh, he never wears a shirt, and yeah, it gets worse as the movies go on, but it's 3 hours into the franchise, and this is the first time he's done it. Also, I don't know what he's doing with the shirt. They forgot to give Bella an actual wound, so he's just dabbing up blood, I guess. And Bella finally finds it in herself to start interacting with her friends again.
Well, welcome. So listen, now that, you're talking and eating again, which, gotta get that protein in there. I was just wondering if you wanted to go see a movie with me.
Mike, oh my god, stop. I don't just mean for the sake of my Mike X Ferrick fanfic. I mean for your sake, bud. Like, if your friend has gone through a breakup so bad that she, isolated herself for 6 months, the first day she stops isolating herself is not a good day to ask.
Yeah, sure.
Well, what do I know? I'm single. Although she doesn't seem happy about it. This is the face most women make when I ask them out. Oh, and get a load of the fake titles they have for movies.
Love spelled backwards is love. It's a dumb title, but it's a romantic comedy. I mean, it's supposed to be.
No romance. How about Face Punch? Have you heard of that?
These are fake movie titles from a comedy, not fucking Twilight. Then again, I really want to see Face Punch.
We should get a bunch of people to go. Do you guys want to go see Face Punch?
She didn't get that Mike was asking her out.
Face Punch, yeah. Mike, hey, we're supposed to watch that. Remember the trailer's like,
Yeah?
punch faces.
That's the funniest line in the whole franchise. Hey, you guys want Burger King? Why is this here? It's not even like someone's eating it. It's just, there.
Put your gun down, or I'm gonna blow your freaking head off. Both of you, put both of your guns down, or I'm gonna blow both of your freaking heads off.
Your frickin' heads. Seems like this PG-13 movie is trying to impersonate an R-rated action movie. Then again, this was 2009, the height of neutered PG-13 action, which makes this even more pathetic.
Okay, I think I'm gonna stop.
Mike, my dude, I get that some people don't like gore, but action movies are not that gory usually. This is like McGee and Me levels of one-dimensional depictions of film.
You should hold out for someone with a stronger stomach. Someone who laughs at the gore that makes weaker men vomit.
And that's why I show ladies Hellraiser on the first date.
Okay, well, tell me something. You like me, right?
So what's the problem? You guys are missing Face Punch.
Don't do this.
Why?
Because you're about to ruin everything.
And I need you.
Bella, I really don't know what your problem is. Just date the guy. You're too codependent not to. And Jake specifically promises not to give her up.
I'm not gonna give up.
Let her down.
I won't let you down.
Or hurt her.
I won't ever hurt you.
Did Twilight just rickroll me? 'Cause if so, that's the most 2009 thing that has ever happened.
Feeling sick? Maybe you need to go to the hospital. You want me to put you in the hospital?
Oh yeah, Jacob's a hothead with poor self-control. I've had to justify the Team Edward shirt before, and most of the time I go, dude, it's a joke. I don't actually genuinely care about the Twilight series. But, I actually genuinely am Team Edward over Team Jacob. Like, Jacob is a fun high school fling. He's hot, he's into fast cars and cool movies. He's fun, but he's emotionally kinda immature. He's not husband material. Edward is much more considerate, much more protective, and just a better long-term choice. He's not perfect, he's a drama queen and has a tendency to run away from his problems, but he's also in a poorly written series, so that probably isn't supposed to be character flaws, where Jacob clearly is supposed to have character flaws. Also, there's this whole thing about werewolves leaving their partners because of, like, imprinting, but that's another movie. We'll get to that. Look, all I'm saying is, in a game of fuck, marry, kill, I'm gonna fuck Jacob and marry Edward. And, kill Boris, the mummy kid, who also lives in Forks, Washington.
You're really hot.
Damn right he is. And then Jacob just disappears on her. You know, maybe she's not codependent. Maybe she just has abandonment issues.
You've been lying to everyone. Charlie. But you can't lie to me.
You promised me.
I know. I promised I wouldn't hurt you, Bella. And this is me keeping that promise.
This seems familiar. You guys think this franchise is repetitive? So to try to remember Edward better, Bella goes to the field where they were playing baseball. My favorite scene. And hell, Dreadlocks is there.
Do the Cullens visit often?
Why?
Yeah, absolutely, all the time.
Lie better.
Man, even the characters are calling out the shitty acting. Can we talk about what people who don't see Edward's forced ghosts see?
Do the Cullens visit often?
Yeah, absolutely, all the time.
Victoria feels it's only fair to kill Edward's mate, given he killed hers.
Oh geez, it's almost like the Cullens leaving made things less safe for Bella. Luckily, her new on-again, off-again is a werewolf. Spoilers? She doesn't know he's a werewolf yet, but like, it's Twilight. Everyone knows what Twilight's about. That comes to scare off Dreadlocks. Anyway, Jake rolls up to Bella's while everyone's out looking for these giant wolves everyone's seeing.
You have no idea how tight I'm bound.
Anyway, Bella puts the pieces together that the Native American tribe Jacob's in is werewolves. So the next day, she bitch slaps one of them. That's pretty hardcore, actually. I guess it works? He gets mad and hulks out. Also, the reason the wolf boys are always shirtless is because the shirt rips off when they change. But their pants just change with them. I wonder why that is. Also, there's like a fourth wall break. They run into the camera. Like, it's not a mistake. The wolves are CG. Someone deliberately decided these characters could knock over a non-diegetic camera.
So you're a werewolf?
Yeah. Last time I checked.
Actually, I'm going to contradict you on that one. I know I've been calling them werewolves all movie, but technically they're lycanthropes. And werewolves are also under the broad umbrella term of lycanthropes, but werewolves are specifically half man, half wolf, whereas these guys just turn into wolves. Also, werewolves, traditionally speaking, are only triggered by the full moon, and these guys can do it whenever. I know I was less pedantic about the definition of vampire, but that's because vampires are a little less specific in terms of lore, and there's already a word for what these guys are. Also, bright red hair is not a good look for a predator trying not to be seen.
But I realize where I have to go. What I have to do to see him again.
Hey, I've heard this one before.
I will find a place where I can see him again.
How is this series of romance films better at action than anything else? Bella goes cliff diving to guilt trip Edward's forced ghost, but bumping her head on a rock knocks her out. What is she, Glass Joe? That hurt, but it wouldn't knock her unconscious. Also, she comes out of the water with her makeup perfectly intact. Hey, Alice is back! She's having a hard time seeing visions of Bella because of the werewolves? This is the one and only time in the franchise werewolves block her visions. How convenient for the plot. But it's time to get that Romeo and Juliet ball going. So a lot of people have criticized Romeo and Juliet by saying Romeo had to wait a few minutes and everything would be fine, but you're not prepared for how weak Edward's suicide motivation is.
Swan Residence. He's not here right now. He's arranging a funeral.
Jacob says Charlie is preparing a funeral, in a jealous rage, I might add. Doesn't say whose funeral, and Edward just takes this at face value and doesn't double check or anything. Decides this is the thing that's gonna drive me to suicide. So it's off to Italy, because who cares about resolving the whole redhead trying to kill Bella thing? This is the plot now. It almost feels like adding those random vampires at the end of the first movie was just for pointless drama, and then bringing them back in this movie was just for pointless drama. And one of them survives. So what are the odds she's gonna be back for more pointless drama? Also, hey, how did they afford a trip to Italy? I guess the Cullenses are rich? Maybe they paid for it? It seems sudden, though. Hey, maybe shout so he sees you, shout to stop, or just fucking tackle him, that's fine. And then the Voltaire are just really mean to Bella for no reason. Like, apparently she blocks their powers or something? So now they're gonna kill her. So much like Twilight, it's about one thing for most of the runtime, and then squeezes in this whole new plot just for the climax. This is a recurring theme of the series. To be fair, something I feel like I'm saying a lot, the Volturi were established earlier in the story, and this kinda ties into the Bella protecting Edward plot. Not that it isn't pointless and out of nowhere, it's just less pointless and out of nowhere than Twilight's ending. Also, I've said already, the action is way better than anything else in these movies, so at least there's more of that. Too bad Bella agrees to die in Edward's place, which sort of brings them around on letting her live. Also, Alice tells them Bella's gonna be a vampire, but oops, that might have been a lie. Jesus Christ, just turn her! Or, at the very least, come up with a single good reason not to turn her. Because all you've come up with so far is no soul vampires. Something you don't even have proof of. Just turn her or come up with a reason. Oh, what do you know? All the Cullenses get together and vote on whether or not to turn Bella, and they all vote yes except Edward. And this chick, but she's not one of the important Cullens. But here's someone else who votes no.
If any of them bites a human, the truce is over.
Oh, what's that? An actual reason not to turn her? Almost like you could have brought that up way earlier. Anyways, they set up the rivalry between Edward and Jacob for the next movie.
What are you waiting for?
A cliffhanger for the fourth movie? Oh, spoilers. Anyway, that's New Moon. It's fun, but less obviously bad than the first movie. The problems with the Twilight series get less obviously bad as the series goes on, but a lot of the problems persist beneath the surface. New Moon is early enough in the franchise that it can still be laughed at for being bad without trying to be analytical about it. But obvious dumb shit, like the disconnect between the script and performance, is slowly being replaced with some level of competence. But a much more troubling story is beneath the surface. This is still a movie I could recommend you watch and laugh at with friends. It's got some really bad moments, and the whole thing is so melodramatic and full of itself. It is just a mess. So what I'm saying is, this is a better love story than Twilight. Anyways, I feel like I need something more obviously bad for this series, and I think I can keep it Twilight related. So, if you liked this video, don't forget to check out the original Twilight video, and until next time, I'm Matt, and this is Matt's Fun Time Bad Movie Show.
Guns, adrenaline. It's my thing.
Okay.
We should get a bunch of people to go. Do you guys want to go see Face Punch?
Face punch, yeah. Mike, hey, we're supposed to watch that. Remember the trailers like
Yeah.
punch faces.
Yeah. Movie night with Bella.
Oh, 3D cover! I'm the ultimate fan!